Alright guys, Bachata Rockstar here, and we're doing another Star Realms replay. Sometimes you throw on the headset, you don't realize you have the hat on, and then you realize you need it. Because the hat is actually your thinking cap. Whoa, transitions. And so we're actually going to do a game that was sent to me by another player. So it's StarMarck versus Wychowanek. I hope that's how I'm pronouncing everybody's names correctly. But me and Wychowanek have played a bunch of challenge games together. Very, very nice person. And was pretty excited about this one. And got a recording of it from StarMarck. So both you guys, I want to thank you for being a part of Star Realms Replay. And we're going to break it down. So I'm going to probably do things from StarMarck's perspective, just because that's the one we get. But I'm going to do my best to try to talk about each play from each person. And yeah, so get ready. Probably going to be a long one. Here we go. Okay, so first things first, Wychowanek's going first. He ends up getting Builder Bot. I think it's totally fine. Good. You want it. You want to get the scrap. Gets Blob Fighter 2. I love the aggressive attack mode that we're already going with, right? We've already got some trade. We've already got some scrap. We've already got a little bit of damage. There's 2 blobs out here that could trigger Blob Fighter. There's also integration port that's out there that could theoretically trigger the Builder Bot. I love this play. It uses all your trade. Yeah, it just sets you up well. So the tough part is now, as StarMarck, we only have 4 trade now. And we're presented with some options here. Let's see what that last card comes up. Okay, so last card's Brain World. So I think the best play here is to go with Space Station. Here's why. It protects your face, so potentially it could blunt or completely stop Blob Fighter, right, if it doesn't get paired with another Viper. It gives you 4 trade, which could trade up to Blob World. You know, and it's just a solid base with 2 damage, which may not die on initial purchase. So I think that's the best play. Some arguments could be made to go with Moonworm Hatchling to then potentially get Plasma Vet and put that into play. Another good thought, another fine play. Not opposed to it, but with Brain World out there, I think you want to maximize your shots at getting Brain World, and going Space Station is the way to do that. But we'll see what StarMarck ends up doing here. So yeah, StarMarck agrees with me. This is good. Okay, so now Wychowanek had 2 trade and a Viper. So in all likelihood, he's going to have 4 trade and a Viper here. So with 4 trade, I think the correct play is actually to go Moonworm Hatchling. Because my opponent bought StarMarket, not StarMarket, Space Station, we're going to need to kill it. And we may not have the damage to kill it without a Moonworm Hatchling. Plus, Moonworm Hatchling gives us 3, which could potentially get us Blob World. It does a lot of damage. Some might argue that you actually go Blob World. Excuse me. You want to get Moonworm Hatchling to try to get Brain World. Some might argue go Blob World because it'll scrap. But then you're scrapping a base as well. And a lot of times you just kind of want to hold on to the base. Yeah, it only does 1 damage, but you know, it absorbs 5. That's still pretty good. You know, so I'm not really in the mood to get rid of it, to be honest with you. And again, Moonworm Hatchling also gives you the chance to get Plasma Vent and put that into play. And I think that's really powerful. Whereas if you got Blob World, you'd have to scrap Blob World in order to get Plasma Vent, which is significantly less powerful. So I think Moonworm Hatchling is the correct play here. Yep. All right. So you can tell, like, these guys, both of them, are thinking ahead. They're thinking about their decks. They're thinking about their opponent's decks. I feel like this is going to be a pretty high-level game. So with 4 trade, he's going to end up getting Builder Bot. I think this is absolutely the correct play. Now, why not get Blob World? Maximize your chances at Brain World. Well, here's the thing. You may not get it. Yes, we want to try to get Brain World, but if you fully commit to getting Brain World, sometimes you end up just buying a bunch of crap. And it's a scrapper that'll allow us to scrap right now, and we're about to cycle. Yeah, I think it's the better play. Plus, it'll allow us to go with an Explorer after that, which will then give us a shitload of trade, also giving us a high chance of getting Blob World. So I absolutely think this is the correct play. The other thing you don't want to do, and this is sort of this is something that doesn't come up that often, but is absolutely worth thinking about, is if you have two bases that scrap themselves, a lot of times you end up kind of breaking even on what you've purchased, right? So like, yeah, you trade up to get Blob World or a Brain World, fucking awesome, but you're losing a space station and you're losing a Blob World to do it. So you end up not. It doesn't become as good value, and a lot of times too, you end up like buying Brain World, but then you don't draw it for 2-3 turns, and so its power gets kind of blunted, and so you kind of have to get lucky as to when you buy it as well. So oftentimes giving up those two bases may not be worth it. I'm not saying don't get Brain World if you can get Brain World. I'm just saying there are a lot of potential pitfalls which make Brain World not as strong because sometimes it'll just take a while to actually draw it. Once you draw it, you're set, but you got to be able to stick around for that time. And guess what would help you stick around during that time? Bases. But guess what? You gave them up to get Brain World, so it's something worth thinking about. All right, so as Wychowanek right now, so I don't know what he's gonna have. Let's see what he has. Okay, so he ends up having 4 trade, and he ends up picking up Blob World. I think that's fine. I think that's actually very good. An argument could be made to get Lancer, just because I love Lancer. Love it. But Lancer's not going to be quite as strong. Because he got Space Station, he's probably going to scrap Space Station to get something else. And unless that thing is a base, Lancer's actually a little bit less effective. However, Blob World, instead of becoming something that you scrap, now may just be a base that sits out and combos with your other blobs. So maybe it's not something that you trade up with. Maybe it's something now that just triggers allies' abilities, you know? And it's got 5 health on it. So I like this play. You might trade it up to get Plasma Vent. You might trade it up to get Blob World. That's always an option, which is what makes Blob World so strong. But you might just decide to leave it out there and let it trigger your draws and your damage. So I like this play a lot. I think it's very synergistic. Okay. So we've got our 1 scrapper. We didn't quite get enough to get Plasma Vent or Blob World, but I think now's a good time to start just like buying some damage. We want to keep Crusher away from our opponent, right? Because he's going blobs. And probably just go with the Lancer just because Lancer's really good and he's starting to stack bases. So yeah, that's kind of my thinking here. Let's see what happens here. Yep, gets the Lancer, gets the Crusher. Okay, so the trade bot did come out. I think, you know me and Scrap. You know how much I love Scrap. The problem is, though, is that giving Crusher to your opponent is really bad. So, as much as I hate to, like, give my opponent a Scrap card, if you're gonna give him a Scrap card, trade bot's not a bad one to give him. You know? I think it's fine. I think it's better to keep Crusher away, to be honest with you. But it's close. It's very close. Yeah, so he ends up getting the trade bot. Okay, so it's fine. He scraps, he gets trade bot. No problem. Alright, we're starting to take a little bit of damage here. And darn it! So we get a little unlucky because we're not able to get Blob World. Brain World. But we get very lucky in a sense that we can put Plasma Vent into our hand. So I think the play here is to scrap Brain World. Don't give my opponent a chance to get it. Put Plasma Vent into play and start building up bases. Because look, there's 5 bases out there. Building a base deck seems like the thing to do. I would be targeting bases like Defense System and Space Station. You know, good, solid blocker damage cards. You know, those are the things we want. Integration Port is kind of lame, right? Because all it does is sit out there and block and gives you a trade. Who cares? At this point, we don't really need it. We actually have a pretty significant amount of trade in our deck now. So, as StarMark, I think our goal now is to start accumulating damage dealing bases. So he ends up scrapping defense system. Okay. I think that's a little greedy. I don't think we want to give our opponent a chance at Brain World. But I love this play. Boom. Put into play. Deal that damage. Great. Great, great, great. See? So look what happens here. Oh, he's got 7. That was sort of lucky, but now he gets frickin' Siege Fortress, so that's not lucky. Oh, no, he gets Space Station? Weird. I think this is a little bit of a mistake on Wychowanek's part. I think he's still fixated on Brain World and is trying to get it. But the thing is, notice he's got 9 cards left, so he's got 2 card draws. So he's not going to get these cards for 2 turns. They're going to end up being kind of, not useless, but like, far less impactful than a Siege Fortress would be. This is 5 and 5, man. Potentially 5 and 9. Like, oh god, Siege Fortress is bang. But it's okay. Again, I think Siege Fortress is the play here, but if he's really trying to angle for Brain World, I think it's fine. Especially since StarMarck has also shown that he is not willing to scrap Brain World because he didn't do it last time. So in all likelihood, he's going to be angling for it too. And no, it's okay for both you guys to race when your opponent has clearly stated, I'm not getting rid of Brain World. Ooh, here's a good one. Yep. And so he ends up getting the cutter. I think that's fine. Don't really have a lot of blues in our deck. But, you know, part of setting up a base deck is having a little bit of healing, is, you know, having variety. So I'm okay with that. Plus, you know, again, potentially could get your Brain World. Oh, wow, look at that. Let's back that up a little bit here. I want to kind of... Yeah, so he scraps a Viper? Yeah, he is definitely angling for Brain World here. So notice, he doesn't have enough, right? So he's going to end up buying the Corvette. Totally fine. You need the card draw. I don't like him buying the integration port. I really do think he should be buying a second Blob World. Yeah, his life total's a little low. Yeah, face protection, maybe you want to start prioritizing that. But Blob World synergizes so well with Wychowanek's deck, and it also keeps a synergy piece away from StarMarck. So, yes, the 5 protection is important, but I think giving our opponent a potential synergy piece like that is probably not a good idea. Yeah, I do like him getting rid of the Explorer, though, because you want to start shrinking your deck now. So that way you can draw into your bases and draw into your damage. So this is a pretty clear let's go grab Brain World, right? Okay, again, scrap the Siege Fortress. Seriously, my brother. Siege Fortress is a really good card. Do not underestimate it. Why are you getting rid of cards that, frankly, aren't as good as the cards that you could be getting rid of? All right, let's go get it. Yep. 3, 5, 6, 7. He had to do it. Okay, so we get Brain World and we get Stinger. So he should get rid of Blob Miner now and try to do the most damage. Oh, no. That's a mistake, StarMarck. That's a mistake. Get rid of... You don't need it anymore. You have Brain World. You want to make the most efficient deck possible. Blob Miner becomes a liability once you start getting efficient. Get rid of it. Chuck it. I'm not saying this is going to cost him the game, but, you know, it's a pretty clear mistake. Boom, boom, boom. 7. Now he gets Siege Fortress. See, this is what I mean. You let Wychowanek get Siege Fortress. I'm sorry to say it. This may come back to bite you. Okay, so that's fine. Now you have Brain World. Scrap this. Deal the 2 damage. you did not need to purchase that. So we're starting to see a little bit of not. I don't know if I want to call it inexperience. So he scrapped a Viper. One, he should have been scrapping a Scout. Scouts do nothing for you now, right? They're just dead weight. Two, he buys Trading Post? Why? What does Trading Post do for you? Nothing. You're ahead on life. You're soon to be ahead on scrap. You're soon to be ahead on card draw. You should be getting Patrol Mech. You should be dealing as much damage as possible. Getting Patrol Mech will allow you to scrap the Repair Bot now to deal a little bit more damage. So now, notice, he has Blob Miner and Repair Bot still on his deck. That's 4 damage that he should already have, which would bring Wychowanek down to 20. Plus, he's putting a Trading Post into his deck that he doesn't need. Is he afraid of his life total? I don't know. He shouldn't be. He's at 38. There's no reason to fear your life right now. You should be trying to close this game out. Yeah, see, and then this card does nothing too. So he just added 2 cards of deadweight, and he has 2 additional cards of deadweight that he should not have. That may cost us the game. So he puts out the StarMarck now. So now he's just going to keep it around, right? Keep it for protection. There's another scrap. Ooh. Remember how I was talking shit about integration port? Nah, I like it now. Now it's a good play. Now it's a good play. Oh, wow, look at that. Absorbed all the damage. But, you know, we got a base out, and what do we buy? A Battle Station? I'm okay with that. Battle Station will deal 5. It'll protect our face. Like, it's fine. It's fine. The problem is, too, but again, like, you know, we're still 14 cards away from drawing it, so I don't even know if buying anything right now is worth doing. But we snagged Brain World. Yeah, and our opponent has a shit turn. Great. Okay, now's the time to pounce. Wychowanek did pick up a draw discard base, right? Yeah. Captured Outpost, I think. Or, no, Orbital Platform, excuse me. So we're going to scrap 2 scouts. Excellent. Nice draw. Scrap another scout. Good. Get rid of the scouts. So, even though I didn't like this play initially, maybe this is why he did it, to try to combo with the cutter. Maybe he was worried about his life total. I don't know. I didn't like the play. This is a good play, though, right? Picking up the Oracle's fine. Again, we want to scrap down as much as possible. Get rid of that Repair Bot. Let's do this. Yeah, good. Get him down to 10. Honestly, you could even scrap this to bring it down to 7. So, if you remember before, he should have 4 damage gone already. I held up 8. 4 damage gone already. If he added 3, he'd have been down 7 life. Let's see if that makes a difference. Okay, so our opponent gets 4, 8, 13, so he's able to kill both bases. Okay, and then we just flat out whiff. Yeah, this is really unlucky. This is actually quite unfortunate. And then we pick up an Embassy Hut? Why? No reason for that. Yeah, we have bases, but, like, it doesn't really help. Oh my god. And now he sets up the frickin'... See, this is what I was talking about. This is why you had to get rid of Siege Fortress. Like, did you think you were going to get up after? Like, you can't risk your opponent getting these things. And then now he sets up the dream scenario. Now, did he get lucky to set up this dream scenario? Absolutely. But we gave him the ability to do it. Your opponent can't hit Brain World if it's not there. You gotta scrap Plasma Vent now. Right? You gotta do the damage. Oh, he doesn't kill it! Oh, no! Oh, now we don't have the damage to get through everything. Scrap... Oh, no, we can't scrap it now. So remember, we should have had 7 additional damage already through. Wychowanek would be dead right now if we'd have done that. Now we have to keep this because we have to protect our life total because we can't risk him drawing 16. This is tough, man. Wow. Integration port doing work, by the way. Oh man, I was dead wrong about that one. And see, look, and now it gives us an opportunity. He should be dead already. But even if we scrapped the battle station, he'd have been down to 4, and then we could kill him now. But remember, integration port wouldn't be there if we'd have played it the way I said it. But let's assume that we kept everything. This would deal 3, this would deal 2, that would deal 1, he would be dead. You know, this is why you got to look ahead at people's decks. Sometimes you got to take calculated risks. Now, again, not saying we should have scrapped Battle Station. We only had 16. We needed to protect our face, right? But we put ourselves in a bad position because we didn't take those extra points of damage before. Man, I just get the feeling we're going to lose now. Yep, get him as low as possible. Okay. Well, alright, so 9. We got 26. And we got Brain World. As long as he doesn't drop 26 on our ass, should be okay. Scrap, scrap. Draw, draw. Oh, no! And we draw terrible. What? Oh my god, that's so unlucky. Oh no! Holy crap, what a game. What a game. StarMarck, I hate to say it. You kind of blew this game. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. And I really appreciate you being on here and opening yourself up to criticism, but also to education. You gotta get rid of the cards that don't matter in your deck. There's no reason to hold on to them. They have a little scrap, trash can symbol on there for a reason. You're supposed to get rid of them. You're meant to use them and toss them. That's what explorers are for. That's what blob miners are for. That's what repair bots are for, man. When you have Brain World, you have all the scrap you need. Get rid of your shit. Deal the extra damage. I'm telling you, there was 2 instances right at the end where if you had done what I told you to do before, you would have won the game. And I don't want this to sound harsh, but I think we get a little unnaturally attached to trade cards. You don't need them. This is what makes Blob Miner and Repair Bot so strong, is that once they've fulfilled their need, they step out of the way, they deal a little bit of damage. That's why they're so good, is because they help thin your deck out, and then when you're ready and you don't need them anymore, you get rid of them and make your deck even better and even more efficient. And what ended up happening is we gave Wychowanek the opportunity to get pretty lucky, set up his base wall, get his deck thin, get his deck efficient. He built a very nice yellow-red deck with bases, with solid bases. And even though we had Brain World, he ended up being more efficient than us. Well played game on Wychowanek's part. It's a little harder to pick out mistakes on his part because, again, we're not seeing his cards. And we're not sort of like formulating game plans. So I'm going to naturally be more critical of StarMarck because I'm watching his cards and I can see, what he's thinking more. But I will say this. I think both sides did play very well. Let's give credit. This was a hard-fought game. Absolutely could have gone either way. And, Brain World, while I do believe it is still the strongest card in the game in a vacuum, you gotta draw it. And if it draws shitty, if the deck around it is not that good, or you just get unlucky, which StarMarck absolutely did. He absolutely did get unlucky. In like 2 spots where he easily could have won the game if he just drew more of his damage. you want to try to avoid putting yourself into those spots by minimizing the amount of cards in your deck, especially cards that don't help. So hats off to you, Wychowanek. Hats off to you, StarMarck. Thank you so much for submitting your video. If anybody else out there wants to record videos and submit them to me, I will gladly do Star Realms replays on your games. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you learned something, and I enjoyed this, so send me more stuff. I'll do it again. All right, guys. I'll see y'all later.